What's up? It's Eboni Trust, CEO of the Purpose, Passion, and Profit Group and your purpose maximization strategist. Welcome to another episode of Dominate in Your Life here at my kitchen table. Thank you for joining me. Do you like my hair, girl? I tried something different. I'm looking at it and it's like, oh my gosh, I hope you like it. Okay, anyway. So we're here for another episode of Dominate in Your Life, and we're continuing in our series with regard to fear and the areas in which we need to push past in order to dominate in our lives. And so today we're going to be talking about getting over the fear caused by other people's opinions. Now, let me just say, first and foremost, it doesn't matter what happens, okay? Doesn't matter how good you look, how well you may not look. It doesn't matter how much money you make, how much money you lose. It doesn't matter what kind of car you drive or if you're, riding a bike wherever you go. Does not matter. Somebody somewhere is always going to have something to say, okay? So let's just get over that right now. Doesn't matter what happens, somebody is always going to have something to say. It might be a relative, it might be a coworker, it might be your best friend, it might be you. But somebody is going to always have something to say about your dreams and your vision and your goals and what you ought to be doing. That's just the reality of it, okay? Because like Grandma said, opinions are like noses. Everybody has one. Okay? Everybody has one. So we can't get caught up in the fact that people have something to say. Okay? What we need to do is, like something else Grandma says, and that my pastor says as well, we have got to learn how to eat the fish and spit out the bones. And so many times when people say stuff to us, oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, so-and-so tried that before. It didn't work for them. Oh, this is not the right time. We're in a recession. Oh, my, all this kind of stuff. It doesn't, people are going to have something to say. That's just the reality of it. And so sometimes we have to just take it for what it's worth and say, okay, because you know what it is? Here's what it really is. It's people attempting to tell you what they couldn't do. That's it. Or what they're afraid to do. Because you have the kahunas to step out there and do what it is that you know you were placed on this earth to do. First of all, baby, know this. Not everybody has those type of kahunas. Okay? So you're already in a class by yourself. Okay, and so people are not going to be all woohoo, gung-ho, and happy and in your corner about that. So they're going to have something to say. Okay, so here's the strategy. Once again, eat the fish, spit out the bones. Now, you do want to count up the cost in whatever it is that you desire to do. You don't want to just jump out there and do something and not be prepared. I've experienced that. When my husband and I started the school in 2011, I did my due diligence for the most part. But I can remember one of my former church members. He said to me, I had been planning for 25 students. I had built my budget on 25 students. I knew exactly what would happen if we had 25 plus students. However, and what he pointed out was that I didn't have a plan in the event that we did not have 25 students. If we had 24 students, I didn't have a plan. And so he said to me, what's your plan if you don't have 25 students? And I can remember saying something to him like, oh, that's impossible. They told me that I would have 25 students. Now, I jumped out there, started off with just 9. So you can imagine, what we walked into because of that, okay? So you don't want to just say, okay, everybody is a hater, because that's not the case. Everybody's not a hater. Let's just make that clear. Some people really do have your best interest at heart. Now, they may not have the whole story, in order to make a completely informed decision or to develop a completely informed opinion about the situation. But not everybody is a hater, okay? So what you got to make sure is that you have planned for everything, So count up the cost. Whatever this is going to cost you, know down to the T what it's going to cost you. And if you were like me and you had a certain number that you had to have minimum in order to do whatever else on that next level, plan for if you don't come out the gate with that number. If it's people, if it's a revenue goal, if it's a product that you have to have so many of, whatever it is, okay? If it's whatever it is, make sure that you have a plan. That's number one. Number two, your plan does not have to be rock solid, but your plan needs to include all the information that you have at this time. Okay? It needs to have all the bits and pieces, all the parts, all that information that you have at this time. If there is gray area, it's because you've not reached that area yet. Not because you just hadn't researched it or checked it out or asked the right people or whatever the case may be. Okay? Because usually when people say you can't do that, it's because they don't understand that you have a plan. Okay? So you need to have a plan. You need to make your list and check it twice. Okay? Be Santa all day. Make your list and check it twice. Check it 3 times, as a matter of fact. Okay? It also needs to be feasible. You hear people say, oh, that'll never work. Okay? For whatever reason. You have to know that it will work because you have such and such, such and such, such and such in order. Okay? Now, it may be a grand thing. Like bigger than you. And as a matter of fact, you know what, child? It needs to be bigger than you. It does. Whatever it is that you're planning, it needs to be bigger than you. But that's where this part of the strategy comes in. Faith. Okay? My pastor says, where the will of God is known, that's where faith is activated. So if you know that God has called you, you know beyond a shadow of a doubt, you know that you know that you know in your knower that God has called you to do this, to open this, to start this, to write this, whatever it is, then baby, you don't need a second opinion. You need to get his plan. Okay? That's when you activate your faith. And you say, okay, God, I agree with you. I agree with you, Father. You said this, I agree with you. And we know that there is power in agreement. And when you agree with the owner, creator, and master of the universe, there's no stopping you. You have no other choice but to dominate in your life. So if you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this thing, this vision, this goal, this dream is something that God has given you, then begin now to activate your faith. That's the 4th part of this strategy. Begin to activate your faith. Release your faith and say, God, I agree with you for such and such and such and such and such. Okay? Right now, along with, I call her my partner in purpose. We've not actually met in person, but we are together, coaches, speakers, writers. And we are right now putting together a live event. Okay? Our very first live event. Guess where? In Nassau, Bahamas. Okay? Do you hear me? In Nassau, Bahamas. No one told us that we could. And there are people that say that we can't. But guess what? We have our speakers secured. We have our location. We have what we need. Why? Because we dared step out and say, God, we agree with you. So it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter. Do you hear me? It does not matter what they say. Make sure that you have a plan, that you have done your due diligence, that you are walking by faith, and that you are agreeing with God. With those things in place, it doesn't matter anybody else's opinion or what they have to say. As a matter of fact, don't run out and start sharing all your plans and visions and dreams with just any old Tom, Dick, and Susie. Okay? Be very protective of your dream. Treat it like an infant. Be very protective. Now, you can be excited about it. Yes, definitely. But you don't want to abort it before it's actually born. And some people they live, eat, sleep, and breathe dream killing. And so if you don't have to, keep it to yourself. Share it with your spouse, a really, really, really dear friend who has proven himself or herself to be loyal. But don't just be so excited. And I know there's this urge, but don't be so excited that you just run out and just tell any and everybody, because everybody is not in your corner. That just hit me just then. Don't go tell everybody, okay? All right. You can do this. You are able. Why? Because God has made you able. I want you to look at your vision and your dream as your promised land. And I want you to be like Caleb. And I want you to tell all those people who have something to say about it, who are saying, oh, you can't go and possess that. Tell them, no, boo, I am well able to go in and possess the land. I'm Ebony Trust, your purpose maximization strategist. If you have enjoyed this message, please make sure to share it, like it, comment, and tweet. See you next time.